Okay, in this video, I wanted to cover some of the basics of Git and GitHub, especially in the context of how we're going to be using it for the Digital Logic Lab. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is we're going to be coordinating the assignments where I'm going to give you code repos. Repo stands for repository. So you're going to have this code template that has a lot of supporting files, and you'll have to do work to make file completions to make your projects work. Okay, so GitHub is the way I'm going to manage that. There's this thing called GitHub Classroom that lets me coordinate the pushing of assignments to you, and also the way that you can push your work back up to me. Okay, so the idea is you're going to want to have your work eventually show up on Box Drive, do the work, and then push it back up to GitHub. So here's how the flow goes. You're going to get an assignment link. You're going to accept that assignment link, and then you can make a pull request. Okay, so when I hit this button, pull, the work is going to show up in your workspace, which is actually mapped to Box Drive, like we talked about in the previous video. So hit pull. Your work shows up. Let me reset that. You hit pull, and the work shows up in your workspace. All right, so the next thing is Git. Okay, so Git runs on your local computer. And what this does is it lets you make a mental model of, hey, I got some work done. I finished it. I want to commit to that. All right, so as we go through and you get more and more complex projects, you'll find that sometimes you're like, oh, I want to make a change, but I'm worried about messing up the rest of my code. So that's what this Git and GitHub process is about. You can make some changes here, make sure you have them right, and then once you are happy with it, you can commit. All right, and so when I hit commit, this work is saved as, oh, this is an important version. If things get screwed up, I can always go back to this point. Okay, so once you have that, you can actually then push it back up to the remote repository that I've shared with you. Okay, and so this is what we're going to use for grading. All right, so I have this set up with something in GitHub that's called continuous improvement, where it can run little scripts that check your code to make sure it's working the way it's supposed to. And so you can get some feedback in the process of turning things back in. So what you would do at that point is maybe you finished part one, you committed it, you want to check to see if it works. You can actually push this up to the remote and it will run for a while and give you feedback. All right, so that's the process. We've pulled all the work. You do part two, you get that working to where you think it's good, you commit, you can push it up to the cloud, see if things work. All right, one more time through it. You do the work, commit, push to check your results. At the end, hopefully, you've done all the work and you'll be able to see whether it passes the test that I've set up in GitHub. All right, so we're going to talk more about this pushing step because there are lots of ways that you can do this. You can do this through the terminal. You can do it through an IDE, integrated development environment like VS Code. And you can do it through GitHub Desktop that I've asked our IT folks to install on the lab computers. You can also put GitHub Desktop on your computer to help manage this process of coordinating where the code goes, both for your local drive into Box and then pushing it back up to the remote repository. All right, so if all this makes you feel panicky, relax. It's not going to be that hard. Initially, we may have some steps to learn to get this going, but once you do this a few times, you'll become comfortable with the process.